Five Nights at Freddy's Plus, arguably the most anticipated game from FNAF fanverse, has been completely removed from Steam, and on top of that, Click Team first removed and then banned the developer Phisnom from any and all FNAF-related content from Steam. How did that even happen? How did we get here? Well, to better understand the context, let's go back to July 25th, 2023, the day Five Nights at Freddy's Ruined DLC dropped. On one hand, majority of the fans loved the DLC, praising it, giving it positive reviews, calling it a redemption arc for Steel Studios after whatever happened with the security breach. But you might wonder, what does this have anything to do with FNAF Plus? Well, it was one tweet that changed the course of everything. Well, that was boring. Now, to understand this, let's go even further into the past. To understand the context of this, stay with me. See, Phisnom, the developer of FNAF Plus, is an interesting person to say the least. Without delving much into their history, Phil was actually a passionate and quite enthusiast fan of the franchise, making fan games, quality fan games to say the least. Hence, he got chosen officially by Scott Cawthon to be a part of Fanverse initiative alongside other developers such as Kane Carter of Pop Goes, Nixon for The Joy of Creation, and whatnot. But then came Security Breach, the first mainline non-VR title by not Scott Cawthon, a true test to what direction Steel would want to take this franchise towards. And we all saw, yeah, it was mostly targeted to general audience with focus on bright colors, shining locations, and well, the end result was broken to say the least.
I'm not saying I'm not confused right now, and also it looks like my computer's running like poop. Are you currently sprinting at me as if you're gonna kill me? Because it doesn't seem to be working.
They cannot find you while we are together.
Hi. Okay. Oh, you're stuck behind the barrier, you idiot. It's fine.
To try and stay on the topic, this is where my personal introduction to Phil began. I knew of him, but I hadn't seen much of his stuff online. While everyone was reviewing and criticizing the game in their own way, I came across Phil's review of the game, and his streams and clips, they were all over my timeline. I'd realized this wasn't the first time Phil was, let's say, not enjoying a FNAF game.
I shall stop him with my body! I shall stop him with my body! I cannot fucking believe this game. I am the defense! Oh, look at the Fredbear singing show poster, whatever. You all kinda over-exaggerating on how this ruined the franchise. Did you see the last 30 minutes, bro?
As you can see, a theme being set up here. Anyone who isn't passionately part of FNAF community or actively stay up to date with the news and insight information and whatnot, this right here can come across, well, it can come across as something. Personally, I took it as just a different way of Phil reviewing, criticizing the game, while simultaneously realizing this approach made him unique in the community. That right there should end this chapter, right? Well, not really. Here comes FNAF Plus. Clear that Phil didn't want it to be associated or want anything to do with FNAF, as he had lost interest over time and passion to be in the community. But since he had been working on FNAF Plus for a while, being officially contracted by Scott, he had to be part of it a little bit. You know, the fans were really asking him to check out the new stuff, the new FNAF stuff, his thoughts and opinions on this. It makes sense, you know, he was part of Fanverse Initiative. We would eventually see some teasers from FNAF Plus, from Phil, VHS tapes, maybe a little bit gameplay here and there, all adding up to make FNAF Plus the most anticipated game in Fanverse Initiative. And that meant extra spotlight on Phil. Then comes Ruined DLC. Phil was asked by fans to play the DLC, he checked it out, played it on the stream, and tweeted, "Well, that was boring."
Oh no, I made people mad because I don't like the thing they like. Oh no, that's so bad. I'm gonna cry. That's so bad. I'm so sorry. Oh, let me guess. There's gonna be like a pop-out jump scare like in the middle of this hallway in about like 20 seconds. No? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay.
As mentioned earlier, Phil didn't like FNAF Security Breach. He criticized it, but that time, majority agreed. This time, however, Ruined DLC was actually liked by a majority, and that saw out of nowhere reactions and responses from not only fans and creators, but also people who worked on the game directly or indirectly. They saw a massive clash between Phil's fans, people who agree with Phil, people who don't like Phil but respected his take, versus, well, everyone on the opposite side. The drama lasted for a good while. A Twitter user by the name of, we're gonna censor it, started a small quote-unquote trend, not really, but this kind of sort of started it all, that hey, we should tweet the same when FNAF Plus drops, citing the Phil's tweet of, well, that was boring, and that started something that would lead to even further disaster. Allegedly, Phil's fans started to send death threats, gore, and harassment and whatnot to this said person, and this started another wave of more disturbing back and forth between communities and fandoms. Main point in this specific person's situation was fans asking Phil to officially respond, condemn these threats and gore and whatnot, and tell his fans to stop harassing. Well, they did get a response from Phil, just not the kind we or you were expecting. As you should all know by now, he's always have a different take on situations. That pressure finally made Phil to respond. He does, once again, in his own way, furthering this drama into more chaos, as people are now seeing this tweet as him encouraging that behavior of threatening and sending gore to minors in FNAF community. That specific person then makes a final tweet on their alt, stating that they shared proof that they were receiving all the said stuff from alleged Phil fans, and that Phil liked those tweets, meaning that Phisnom saw those posts from Alex, yet refused to acknowledge or discourage his fans from doing so. That tweet then led to Phil finally responding one more time by stating a serious, honest apology. Please read. And when you click the apology, this is what you get. Yeah, look, you guys are seeing the pattern here. We'll come back to this specific tweet later, but this was the nail in the coffin for him and FNAF Plus overall. This led to trends such as Fire Phil and specifically Cancel FNAF Plus from fanverse. Heavy on Twitter, and I mean heavy. People who had not even heard about any of this, they came in, they saw that some minors were getting death threats, gore being sent to their personal DMs, yet the creator of the fans who were sending this refused to acknowledge, refused to take this seriously. That's what many people saw. This made Phil tweet this, condemning, this time actually taking somewhat of the situation a little seriously. Again, you have to understand my position in this. I am taking no one's side. This is me being as unbiased as possible. But many fans didn't accept Phil's tweet. They saw this as more gaslighting and him still not taking it seriously. Whether it was genuine or not, it was too late either way. As a day or two later, Phisnom officially gets removed and banned from FNAF forums and gets removed from developer title from FNAF Plus Steam page, Twitter page, and even YouTube page. At that point, one can easily imagine that major moves happened behind the scenes and a final decision was made. All this led to Phil making almost 40-minute video explaining everything with context, background, his own experience with the stalker, harassment, horrible story by the way, hope they get the help, and his eventual final decision on being done with all this. Understandably, he also accepted that he handled the situation poorly, and it is now fans who were looking forward to FNAF Plus, and the fans who suffered from this drama, the controversy. At the time of making this video, FNAF Plus has been completely removed from Steam, as opposed to what many thought, including myself, that Click Team would be taking over, finishing it if it is not finished already, and releasing it. Now we're all in the dark, not knowing what's gonna happen with FNAF Plus. Right now, according to Phil, his contract has been terminated. He no longer has any association with FNAF or Fanverse Initiative. FNAF Plus is more than likely cancelled, as you can probably imagine Scott not wanting any of this being associated with his brand. But we gotta wait for an official announcement from either Scott, Click Team, or whoever. The main takeaway is that the whole thing was just a disaster, poorly handled by Phil, but in some areas there's a consistent theme we're seeing with FNAF community. First it was Scott himself, who had to retire after donation controversy. Then we saw Kane Carter and Markiplier drama. That was just stupid. Not to mention Nixon's drama a little bit, but that was a long time ago. Jonochrome, One Night at Flumpty's. And now this, not putting any blame on anyone, but it does seem like there's a weird pattern in FNAF community. Personally, if the game is cancelled, I'm a little bit disappointed. Phil had already distanced himself from the franchise and the IP he wanted to anyway for years. This was the only game that was keeping him in the franchise. He will no longer do anything FNAF related, and the game should be finished in my opinion and released to the public. But if it's truly cancelled, FNAF Plus is now a lost FNAF media.